right, today we're gonna talk about visually what it looks like for a startup company, specifically a hardware company, what happens if things go badly. So this is a visual representation of what some people call a cost of quality curve, which I'll talk about in a second. This is a thermostat and has nothing to do with anything that we're going to talk about, just to be clear. Okay, so this is money, this is time. Let's say this is a Kickstarter campaign. So a Kickstarter campaign kicked off and they launched a team to start developing their product. So they start developing their product and they start going through development phases 1, 2, whatever terminology you prefer. 3, then you get into, they do an alpha build, let's say perhaps, then they do a beta build, then they do a pilot run, preparing for production. Depends on what your recipe is. I have a problem with recipes in general, which we'll talk about later. This line here is the line where parts start leaving the building and getting delivered to customers. So this is exponential. So as you go through the progression of this development cycle, as soon as you cross this line, this is where companies fail. This is where they literally go out of business, because now you have a brand problem, you have field repair issues depending on what the product is, you've got investor doubts, you've got RMAs, which means product is coming back and feeding back into this whole cycle. So all of these people now are becoming saturated with having to deal with the fact that product has left the building and it doesn't work, or it's not the spec, or there's some other issue. All of that can be avoided by following these pieces of criteria, which I talked about in some of the other videos. Spending money here saves you a whole wealth of dollars here, and that's the point. I have to keep these short or people get bored, because this can be boring and I'm trying not to make it boring. So that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in there.